Right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Friday Night Lights with myself, the Acting Director of Sport here at Ratcliffe, and Mr. Cole. And I'm excited to have one of our own, a guest with us today, someone who's been selected to represent Great Britain on the track. She is nationally ranked number 1 under 18s for the 800 meters and number 3 under 20s for 800 meters. She's the youngest member of the GB athletics team. Welcome to Indie King. Hi, Indie.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Perfect. So we're going to dive straight in. Indie, what is the highlight of your career so far?
This year, getting into the GB Junior squad, which was absolutely amazing from COVID year last year. It was amazing to be a part of it and get my time down from my last year's time.
Okay, so talk us a little bit about that. Talk us through the race. Talk us through the events that led to that selection.
Well, this year my target was to obviously get into the GB team. So I've been training towards that, and I've been wanting to get my time down from 2:10, and I wanted it to be about 2:08 because my goal this season was to get into the Europeans, which was the under 18s Europeans. But sadly, that was cancelled due to COVID. So I then decided to go for another GB event, which was an international, which is what I got selected for. And yeah, I ran really well in it. And it was an amazing experience. It's the highest competition I've ever ran in.
Okay, so when you mean the highest competition you've ever ran in, I mean, is that because of your age or just because of the standard? Bit of both.
Yeah, because I was like the youngest at the competition. I can't race in a GB until really it should be 17, but I'm 16. So I had the time, and because I had the time, I could go because I was at that same standard as the other competitors in the race. So it was a brilliant opportunity, and I just ran it thinking like I'm the youngest, so I've got nothing to lose, and I just went for it.
Wow, that's an incredible achievement. Well done to you.
Yeah.
Just says you're the youngest person in the team, but who are you running against? Give us some of the names and some of the people that you're competing against.
Well, in the under 20s rankings at the moment, the two girls ahead of me are much older than me. They're like 20 years old, and one of them's going for Keely Hodgkinson. She's going for the Olympic qualifying time. So I'm doing really well to be like just below them, and they're much older than me. So when I get to their age, hopefully I'll be doing what they're doing. And then there's other runners as well that are similar to my times, like Kira Brady-Jones. She's one of my big competitors, which we're like similar ages. But because I was the youngest at this GB event, I didn't really know many people because a lot of them were under 20s and some of them were under 23s and seniors as well. So a lot of unfamiliar names as well.
Okay, wow. I mean, in terms of your world, in terms of athletics, you must have looked up to some people. Who are your heroes? Who are your idols? Who's inspired you?
Well, I would say Kelly Holmes is one of them because she was amazing, getting double gold. But since a little girl, I wanted to do heptathlon when I was really, really young. So I would say Jessica Ennis was always my idol from being about 6 years old.
Wow. And then, so when you go into these events, I mean, you must be surrounding yourself with, similar like-minded people, but also these celebrities, these stars. I mean, how do you feel? How do you feel about all of that?
I just kind of put it all into perspective and just think, well, they're all like normal people. They've just trained really, really hard and made a name for themselves and become well known. That's how I view it. I don't look at them and think, oh my gosh, they're like incredibly insane, I can never do it. It's like, no, I can get there. I just have to train like they've trained and work hard.
Yeah, what a great message that is. Hard work does pay off. So what about, obviously you've been at Ratcliffe a few years now. What are some of your earliest sporting memories of even maybe before you joined Ratcliffe, but obviously, joining Ratcliffe as well? What are some of your earliest memories?
I would say one of the highlights when I was really quite young, I ran in the Bedford Championships and I came second, which was amazing because it was a national event and it was like probably the biggest one I'd done at that time. and there was heats and finals in one day, so it was obviously stressful because I was so scared that I'd be tired in the final if I got through. But I ran it and I ended up getting a medal, which was absolutely insane. It was amazing that day.
How old were you then?
I was about 13, 14.
Okay, so year 8, year
So
9.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. And you remember that time when you were in those early years, when you're in the school, you were looking up to other boys and probably girls in the school. Did anyone? Can you remember any of their names? Did you aspire to be anyone?
Yeah, there was one girl when I was quite young. I think it was year 7. She was in year 13. She was called Mari Smith. She's actually still running now. I raced against her the other day, which was a bit weird. But yeah, she was always really good at 800. She was like mad quick. And I remember looking at her being like, oh my gosh, like one day. And then the other week I was racing against her and I was like, what? That's insane. But yeah.
Has it always been running for you? I mean, obviously schools, or in terms of sports, and we do a lot of different sports. I mean, I'm assuming you've played a lot of sports growing up, and when did you, or was it? How did you get into running then?
Well, so my first sports day I did, which was like year 2, there was like a running race that we did around a field, and I just won it. And I remember going up to my mum and being like, "Mum, like I really enjoyed that. It was amazing." And then she took me to the local training club, like across the road from me, and I just started to enjoy it and started running. And then I gradually got better, and I could see myself because at the start I was at the back of the group, and then within a year and a half I was at the front. So it was like an amazing transition to see like my progression and stuff. And I've always loved it, but I've always done like gymnastics alongside, and I've done gymnastics, hockey, netball. So I never like focused just on athletics because I didn't want to pressure myself too much that I get to this age and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm tired of it now. So I always did like lots of things. And it's only like now I'm kind of prioritizing athletics more than I did a few years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when was it you realized that you had, there was something, you had a little talent for running? When did you realize you were you were good?
Year 5, I went to this Birmingham race, which was for prep schools. And it was like the qualifiers to get through. And I was running and I was enjoying it, but I was very, very young. So I didn't really know the race very well. I just kind of ran it. And a girl knocked me off the track and she literally like pushed me off. I literally tripped over and I was so annoyed. So I got up and sprinted down the last finish and literally passed her and ended up winning the race. And everyone was like, whoa, like that changes pace from like getting up after like falling over was insane. And that's when my dad was like, you've definitely got something that he couldn't like tell me at the time. But yeah.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. It sounds like you're quite determined to prove probably people wrong. Were you ever told, that oh, you're not going to make it, or you probably had doubts like us all in our lives in terms of, oh, I'm no good at this, or I'm not going to do this. How do you deal with those?
Yeah, when I went through a few years ago, I went through a bit when I was growing a lot, and because I was growing, my whole running was out of balance, and I was running at like a tilt because I was growing in different areas, and my running wasn't going as well as I wanted it to. And a lot of people said like, you won't get back, you're done now, you've done what you need to do, and you'll never get back. And especially when I injured my ankle, which was 2 years ago. And everyone says it'll take you 9 weeks to get back. That'll be it. You won't be able to do it anymore. And I literally worked so hard at home. I was doing like rehab on my ankle like every day. I went into the pool, did training in the pool because I couldn't run on it. So I had to do everything in the pool. And I got back within 5 weeks and like proved everyone wrong. And now I'm here now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's inspirational. Again, hearing that you got injured and you've worked really, really hard. If someone was to describe you, what 3 words would they use?
Oh, that's a hard one. Probably determined, quite feisty on the track, I'd say.
Sounds like
and confident when I believe in myself.
Okay, good. So all good traits to have. So yeah. Important. It sounds like you're determined, but yeah, confidence is a key thing. I'm just coming back to that. obviously when you're injured, you have those little self-doubt, and obviously it's really important that you can control what you can control, right? And it sounds like you worked hard and you focused on your performance and not worried too much about what anyone was saying to you at the time. It's a really important. So what other sports have you played, and to what standard?
I did gymnastics from 5 years old until this year, really, till I was 15. Yeah, so last year. And I competed at a national level in tumbling, which I literally loved. It was very hard to stop it, but it got to the point when I just thought I need to focus now more on like doing gym sessions and focusing more on athletics. So I decided to give it up, but it was amazing at the time, and it helped me with my running as well.
Yeah, how do you think it's helped you then?
Power wise, it was really good because we did a lot of core strength and plyometrics, obviously to help tumbling, but I thought it helped a lot with my running, especially when I do like 200 meters and 400 meters. It helps with the power off the blocks at the start. So it's definitely set me up for where I am today.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, within a lot of sports, the transferable skills across them. You've highlighted, your gymnastics, and that has helped you within the world of running. So why have you chosen running? What is it about running that you like the most?
I would say it makes me feel free when I run. And I kind of forget about everything. So it kind of takes me away from reality for a bit. And it's just a time to myself and just like beat my own targets, beat what I've achieved before. And it's just a really good feeling when you start beating your own stuff that you did in the past and getting better. And it's the feeling afterwards as well, when you just feel so proud of yourself for what you've done. Yeah.
Yeah, again, really important that you've chosen something that you love to do. Day in, day out. It's hard to get up for something that you don't want to do. So it's about finding something that ultimately, it's not about the medals. It's not, maybe it's nice to have that GB sparkly top, but it's about you actually enjoying the process. And that's really good for anyone who's listening, obviously, to kind of fall in love with what you're doing. And if you find something like that, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had some inspirational coaches and teachers along the way, but who's helped you out the most?
Coaches wise would probably be my recent coach, the one I'm with now. He's definitely been inspiration because last year I had a very tough time with COVID, and motivation wise was lacking quite a lot. But I changed clubs, changed coaches, and since that, my confidence has grown so much, and all the targets that we set last year, which I struggled to believe at the time, have all come true. So I would say I have to give him the most respect for that, because that was insane. And obviously all school teachers as well, who's always helped me with everything really, and helping me balance work as well as running, because I think although running is amazing, I think the balance is also really important. Balancing homework, exams on top of running is really hard, especially when you're trying to race, train and do exams in one go. So it's hard to get the balance, but it was really good.
What's your secret then? How have you done it?
How have I, sorry?
How have you balanced your program? What's the secret? If anyone's listening, obviously, and these are similar issues and problems where you've got, your exams and tests and coursework and you're in, an important age of study. How do you balance it? How do you do it?
I kind of think about what time of day am I best to work at. So for me, I like working in the morning. So I'll do all my work in the morning, and then I do my running in the afternoon, evening, and I'd focus on that. But I would also say that if there's a day when I'd be stressing about an exam the next day, I'd prioritize my exam and wouldn't try and catch up my training days, because a few years ago I'd try and catch up all the trainings I've missed out on, and it ended up getting so messy and stressful. So if I miss training session, I just think, well, I needed to miss it, it's better to miss it, and then I'll just make up when I next train.
Yeah, that's really good bits of advice. Again, and probably what you found of, trying to catch up on your training is then you start to overtrain, and that can lead you down a path of
Yeah.
obviously, becoming injured, and
Yeah.
losing motivation. So really important messages. Obviously, I think what you hit the nail right on the head is finding out what works best for you.
Yeah.
You're a morning person by the sounds of things. Not that you don't like evenings, but you kind of focus. You're able to focus the most, in the morning. So that's, you've worked that out. What about bits of advice? What's the best bit of advice you've been given?
My advice that I've ever been given, the best one.
Yeah.
I would say believe in yourself, because when I struggled was when I was struggling to believe in myself, when somebody said you just got to have confidence in yourself, because if you don't have confidence in yourself, then there's no point, because if you have no confidence, you're never going to achieve anything, because you can't take other people can believe in you, but that's not going to do anything. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're not going to go anywhere. So I think you've got to believe in your own ability and trust it.
Yeah, very important. And again, it comes on to, you've had those, I'm sure you've doubted. So how have you convinced yourself, to be confident? Do you have a mantra? Do you have a words that you use, or do you, or you just go out running probably?
I look back on things I've achieved in the past as well, and like remember that time when I've had a bad time. I'm like, okay, I'm having a bad time now, but think about all the stuff I achieved before. And if I've achieved it before, it can happen again. I just have to get myself back. I think that was my main thing I did when I was struggling. I was just looked back on what I achieved before, like winning nationals and getting England vest when I was 14, and remembering those times and thinking, I've done it before, so I'm going to keep going. I can't not. Yeah.
That's awesome. Important messages. Yeah, focus on, looking back and being proud of your achievements and realizing that tough days. I read a quote the other day about Michael Phelps, about obviously we're the greatest Olympian, and achieving what he's done, but everyone has bad days. It's just learning how to train your best on one of those days. So he used to punish himself in terms of when he was having a bad day, really focus on training even harder to make it a good day.
Yeah.
Said so. Yeah, similar, really important message. I think we've answered the next one. Have you ever been told you weren't going to be a success, and how did you cope with it? I think you mentioned about that.
Especially COVID year last year. That was tough because I lost a lot of my motivation from not being able to access the track or running with people. And when I got back to training, my fitness wasn't as good as it was before. So I found it quite hard, especially how I didn't have the group. The group that I was training with weren't as strong anymore. So I was almost too good for the club, and I had to make the hardest decision of moving clubs. And everyone said, if you move clubs, you will never make it. That this is the club to be in. But I had to trust my gut and think, well, if I don't move clubs, then I'm not happy. And if I'm not happy, I won't want to do it. So I decided to go for it, move clubs, and see what happens. And it's paid off so far.
Haven't looked back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So proving people wrong, that psychological trait of you've said about being determined, but people saying you can't do this, and you've done it, and you've proved them wrong. A lot of athletes. Yeah. Let's have a look. What goals are you working towards now? Then, what's next on your wall, on your tick chart? What do you want to achieve?
Getting through to the Europeans under-20s, which is the qualifiers, is next weekend. So I have heats and finals to run, and obviously they're so much older than me, so it's a bit of a stretch target, as my coach would say. But it's a good target to go for because I've already achieved my main goal this year, which was to get a GB vest. So I've done that, but now it's the stretch target, which is focusing on the Europeans. And yeah, I'm racing in both of them next weekend, which hopefully should be good. I'm looking to try and get about a 206, 207 time.
Wow.
So, which is I'm 208 at the moment.
Yeah,
So
just a second or two, but over that distance, it's incredible to think.
yeah.
Well, we wish you all the luck. What's the ultimate goal though for you? What's your ultimate goal? I think I've got an inkling of what you might say, but what is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is to go to the Olympic Games, of course. And I'm starting to see it much more clearly now, because obviously at the start you're like, oh yeah, Olympics a dream, but it's something there, but it doesn't, like, sometimes you don't think it's real because you don't understand how you get there. But now I've got to where I am, and you see the doors start to open the quicker you get. You realize, oh, the GB coach is like contacting me saying this, and it's amazing how you suddenly see all the doors start to open up, and you're like, actually, I can see how you can get there, which it was insane.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, we obviously we're all behind you here at Ratcliffe, all supporting you, cheering you on, and I have no doubt if you continue with the same determination, the same attitude that you have, you will achieve your potential. So well done. What bit of advice would you give to anyone listening who's obviously looking to up to you, thinking, oh, I want to do that, but I'm not sure how to go about it? What would you tell them?
I would say if you enjoy it, I would say definitely do it. And you've got to put yourself out there. So if you're not prepared to, put yourself on the line and go for it and be determined, then there's no point. You've got to go into training wanting to train. You've got to go into training wanting to better yourself, because if you don't have that determination and that like motivation to do it, it's a very hard sport. So you've just got to, I would say, if you enjoy it, just do it, and you thrive off it as well. And the quicker the times you get, the more you want to beat it, the more you see yourself improve, the better you get, the more you just get an adrenaline to want to be much faster. So I'd say definitely go for it.
Go for your goal. Yeah, really important message. Indy, thank you so much. Just obviously, it's an important interview for us at the school, but we know that it's a busy time for you with your assessments and with all your training. So I really can't thank you enough. We're going to end as we always do, and I know you're really excited for this, with our charades game. So I'm going to get my clock ready. If you can get some room. So I'm sure those people watching will have seen this before, but if not, I'll explain it briefly. So I'm going to give Indy 60 seconds, get my stopwatch ready, to perform as many sports, act out as many sports as she can. Now, I trust her, obviously. So if she, does one and I shout it out and she says yes, we believe her. So on top of the leaderboard is still Amy with 11. Now, she's been there for quite a few weeks, and I know you're quite goal orientated, Indy, and I believe in you. I think we could have a new person at the top. So I'm going to count you down. Ready? You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hockey. Good. 1. Rugby. 2. Oh. Bowling. Cricket. 3. Netball. 4.
Yeah.
I don't even know what she's doing. What's that? Baseball. Rounders.
Yeah.
Come on, you can do it. Or archery. Gotta be. 6. Golf. Golf. 7.
What else is there?
Oh, yeah. Running. You got 5 seconds. 4, 3. And she's out. Excellent work, Indy.
That was very hard.
Oh no, you did well. I didn't know what the last one was. Was it chopping wood or?
I don't even know.
I don't know. No, you did really well. It's pretty difficult, and again, it puts everyone on the spot. Obviously, seeing how motivated you were in terms of hearing the numbers. Well, I mentioned Amy, it definitely motivates you in terms of numbers and times and PBs. So I believe you got 8. So well done. It's not bad.
Quite fun.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think, trying to think, I haven't got my board behind me. I've got it at home. But 8. I think Zach George, the UK's fittest man, was on 9. I think a few people around 8. Beth Cobden, maybe the netballer, England netballer. So you've done well. I'll put your name up there, and I'm going to get the board back in. But as I said previously, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for that, and also we're fully behind you. Good luck with your up and coming races and your goals that are pretty tough for you to achieve. But as you say, you've got that vest. We can be very proud of you, and I've no doubt we're going to be seeing your name up in lights very, very soon. So thank you for your messages, and thanks for the time. All the best. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.